Hello. My name is Melissa Gosdin. I'm an assistant professor of sociology and behavioral sciences, and I have a panel of 4 psychology and sociology students. Today they are talking about hypermasculinity and hegemonic masculinity as it helps to perpetuate and create rape culture. Let me introduce the panelists. We have Jessica Dye. She is a double major, psychology and sociology. Shanese Colon, sociology major. Leroy Davis, he is a sociology major. And Untayous Benson, psychology major. Okay, real quick, Jessica's gonna start. She's gonna tell you a little bit about rape culture, some statistics about rape. And then Shanese will go into hypermasculinity and hegemonic masculinity. A lot of that goes into blaming the victim, things like that. Leroy will tell us what we can do on campus to prevent rape from happening and other sexual crimes against women. And Untayous will talk about kind of this double standard, as far as we know that women like masculine men, but then there's also this double standard of what does it mean to be masculine and how can men be both, like the sensitive guy and the masculine guy. But we're going to start off with the video, and then I'll let Jessica talk.
Being in college or just about anywhere is dangerous. By following these simple steps, you can avoid getting raped. Short skirts make you an easy target. Try wearing clothing that's not easy to remove, like jumpsuits, overalls, or by adding belts. Ponytails and long hair are easy to grab, so choose your hairstyle wisely. Remember, your choice of footwear can make the difference between getting raped or getting away. Always bring a friend when you go out, and tell them where you're going at all times. Or always bring a dog. Choose your venue wisely. No one will hear you scream for help at a loud club. Also, beware of bathrooms. Many attacks occur there. Always keep your drink in your hand, and keep a hand on top so no one can slip something in it. Don't take drinks from anyone. It's better to be rude than to get raped. And remember, don't get drunk. Beware of vans. They're the #1 rapist vehicle. If you encounter a rapist in your car, drive into a lamppost or a dumpster. Or if you're in the passenger seat, don't be afraid to jump out of a moving car. Remember, anything can be used as a weapon. Tell your attacker that you have a disease or are menstruating. Vomiting and urinating may also deter an attacker. Fight like a psychotic cat. It's better to seem crazy than get raped. Also, leave a mark on your rapist to make it easier for him to be caught later. Make eye contact with a potential attacker. Don't make eye contact with a potential attacker. Don't put yourself in a situation where you can be raped. Avoid isolation. Avoid walking alone. Avoid poorly lit areas. Avoid elevators with a lone stranger. Avoid giving a guy blue balls. Remember, rape isn't just committed by strangers, but friends, relatives, and colleagues. So follow these tips to lower the chances of rape occurring, because just being aware won't save you from getting raped.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jessica Dye, and I'm going to be speaking further on the topic in reference to the rape culture that we have in our society today. As you can see on the screen, I just have a few pictures that I have prepared for you all for your view in reference to the rape culture. Just going to take a few moments to let you all view these pictures before I continue with my discussion. Okay, as you can see in our photos, that rape is something that is widely spread in all cultures of the world today. According to RAINN, which is the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, 44% of victims are under the age of 18. 80% are under the age of 30. Each year, there are about 237,868 victims of sexual assault. 60% of sexual assaults are not reported to the police. 97% of rapists will never spend a day in jail. Approximately 2/3 of assaults are committed by someone known to the victim. 38% of rapists are a friend or an acquaintance. Women are widely known victims of rape, but however, men are also victims of rape as well. But what is the rape culture? The rape culture is a culture where sexual violence is considered normal. People are taught not to get raped rather than to not rape. The victim of crime is often put at fault, overlooking the fact that most rapes are done by people the victims know. In the case of a male rapist and a female rapee, if the girl does not want it, then the rapist has the choice to stop or to go on. The choice to go on makes the situation the fault of the rapist, not the victim. There are things in place that we have in our society that women can use to avoid getting raped, but it shouldn't be the responsibility of the women. There's things such as hairy leg stockings to make the women seem less attractive to the male viewer. Also, something known as the ribbed anti-rape condom that a woman wears in case that she may go out and may get raped. Women are seen as less attractive when wearing these things, and men just need to learn to be more respectful. So I hope you all enjoy our presentation, and I'm going to pass the torch on to Shanese. Thank you.
I'm going to be talking to you about hegemonic masculinity. And before we start, just give you a little something. I like videos. They tend to drive the point home for me, so.
Stop crying.
Stop with the tears.
Don't cry. Pick yourself up.
Stop with the emotion.
Don't be a pussy.
Don't let nobody disrespect you.
Be cool and be kind of a dick.
Always keep your mouth
Nobody
shut.
likes a tattletale.
Bros come before hoes.
Don't let your woman run your life.
You bitch.
What a fag.
Get laid. Do something.
Be a man.
Be a man.
Grow some balls.
The three most destructive words that every man receives when he's a boy is when he's told to be a man.
We've constructed an idea of masculinity in the United States that doesn't give young boys a way to feel secure in their masculinity, so we make them go prove it all the time.
Within their peer group culture, each of them is posturing based on how the other boys are posturing, and what they end up missing is what they each really want, which is just that closeness.
In good times, guys are like really close to each other, but when things get a little bit worse, you're on your own.
From middle school, I had 4 really close friends. Once I kind of went into high school, I struggle finding people I can talk to because I feel like I'm not supposed to get help.
Our kids get up every morning. They have to prepare their mask for how they're going to walk to school. A lot of our students don't know how to take the mask off. What is it you don't let people see? Almost 90% of you have pain and anger on the back of that paper.
If you never cry, then you have all these feelings stuffed up inside of you, and then you can't get them out.
They really buy into a culture that doesn't value what we've feminized. If we're in a culture that doesn't value caring, doesn't value relationships, doesn't value empathy, you are going to have boys and girls, men and women go crazy.
I had anger issues in high school. I felt like an outcast.
I've been suspended at least once every year I was here.
We would just look for trouble and just like try to fight.
Boys are more likely to act out. They're more likely to become aggressive. Most people miss that as depression, or see it as a conduct disorder, or just a bad kid.
I felt like just giving up on life. You know, I actually had suicide thoughts in my head at 6th grade.
I felt alone for a long time, and I actually thought about killing myself.
Whether it's homicidal violence or suicidal violence, people resort to such desperate behavior
only when they are feeling shamed and humiliated, or feel they would be if they didn't prove that they were real men.
If you're told from day one, don't let nobody disrespect you, and this is the way you handle it as a man, respect is linked to violence.
If I can man up, why step down from that, you feel me?
It's like instinct.
So man up. Man up. Man up. Man up. Pull some fucking balls. Act like a man.
Be a man.
Be a man.
For my kids, I was gonna end this hyper-masculine narrative here.
The video just shows you how this hegemonic masculinity, which is basically this notion that being masculine is normal, that possessing these masculine traits or perceived masculine traits such as aggression and violence and dominance, that those are normal traits that men are supposed to have. And that if they're defined as that, then anything that's feminized, anything that's feminine is considered less than, it's considered weak. So if you're telling a young boy, young man, okay, you have to be dominant, you have to be aggressive, you have to be competitive in order to get to wherever you want to go in life, you're going to do that, even if it is to your counterpart, which is a woman, and you're not going to value or appreciate any of the traits and the tendencies that she possesses because you're seeing it as less than. It's almost like a slave master relationship. Whereas, a man is the master. He's the master of his fate. He's the master of everyone else's fate as well. And then as a woman, you're a slave to it because you can only do but so much to counteract it. So either you rebel against it and you possess and you show, okay, no, this is not how it's supposed to go, and then you get the backlash from it, or you just go along with it and you present yourself as weak and you submit, which in there's, lies the problem, who wants to submit to someone else when we all can kind of actually be equal, because we're more alike than we are different. With the hegemonic masculinity, it pretty much is showing you to dominate. So when you're dominating, who are you dominating? You can't dominate yourselves or others that look like you. So you're going to dominate who you see as weak, which would be women. And then by doing that, the rape culture perpetuates itself because you're telling a man, be dominant, be dominant, be dominant. And what's a way to be dominant? Raping women, because that takes control from them. That takes their power from them. And by doing that, you're gaining that power. You're feeling like a man, and we know it's not right, but, with the jokes and accepting rape jokes and just going along with the rape culture and being okay with it, not necessarily not saying I'm down for rape, but by not saying anything at all, it's just basically you're quiet okay to it. With victim blaming, it all kind of coincides because you would hear, well, what was she wearing? Or what was she doing? Why was she over there at that side of the town? Why was she with this person? Why was she with that person? But really the question should be, why is he raping you? Why? Why does he feel like it's okay to rape you? Why is it that he wants to rape you? Why is it that he can't control himself to stop the rape? Because honestly, there have been studies and just different on social media that shows that me wearing a short skirt is not going to increase my chances of being raped than me being in my bed asleep in my pajamas. Or me being fully clothed going to work or going to class isn't going to decrease my chances of being raped. So by trying to restructure what women do to prevent being raped, we're blaming them, saying, well, this is what you need to do not to let us rape you, because we can't control ourselves as men, and we're taught that we can't do that because it's natural when we know that it's not. There's a lot of these misconceptions and ideologies that are stemming from science or pseudoscience, as you would say, that gets the rape culture, it justifies the rape culture. And it shows you that, okay, well, this is fine, and, that's just how it is. God intended for rape to happen. And that's actually, a senator said that. God intended rape to happen, because without rape, how else are you supposed to, make a woman submit to you? because you have to show that dominance. You have to be aggressive at all times. And so instead of focusing on what women should do to prevent being raped, we should focus on men and should focus on showing them that raping is not cool. It's not what you're supposed to do. And instead of looking at this as a woman's issue, as just a female issue, we need to look at this as a full-on gender issue, as a human issue, because if it's not just some random girl in Timbuktu being raped or being sexually assaulted, it could be your mother, it could be your sister, it could be your next door neighbor, it could be anyone that's close to you. And instead of feeding into this individualistic mindset that, well, it hasn't happened to me, so I'm not worried about it, we have to realize that we are all pretty much on this planet. We all pretty much share the same, the same makeup pretty much. And if, one person is hurting, then we all are hurting. It's not just, well, they're hurting, I'm not, haha. It's they're hurting. What can we do to prevent this from happening again? So there we go.
Good afternoon. My name is Untayous Benson. I'm a senior psychology major here. And I want to start off my discussion with a real quick question. We talk about equality, but how many of the young ladies would actually go outside and, cut your grass, when you have a husband or a son at home that could do it? I mean, we're all more than capable of it. How many of you would actually step out and, pay for dinner or open the door for your boyfriend? Boy, I love this. Well, in society, we hold these values and these traits to these men. This is what a man is expected to do. We are expected to hold the doors. We are expected to cut the grass. And these all kind of buy into what Shanice was talking about, this hyper-masculinity. My question is, who really defined masculinity? And I think once we actually stop and look at that as a whole, I think it will cut out a whole lot about our rape culture. I mean, men are supposed to be tough, rigid, prideful. Every woman in here will love for a man to be a protector, but that term of protection has, manifested and turned into almost like a pridefulness instead of, survival. And these aspects I think we should address. It's not just, oh, well, this man was doing it. Well, why is this man doing it? Why is this man taught to be so rigid? And that's really about all I have to say. Thank you.
My name is Leroy Davis. I'm a senior sociology major, psychology minor. As I'm listening to everybody speak about, as a inspiring behavioral scientist, we are taught that the scientific part of that, the best science, is when it's questionable and it's testable. It's like the more you test it and the more we question things, the better. And if it stands up to that questioning, then you're able to, have theories and apply and move forward in that regard. And we, as behavioral scientists, we always are testing people's behavior, individuals as psychologists and groups as sociologists. And when I'm thinking about rape or thinking about the aspects of it, I'm led to, as a critical thinker, I'm always looking at, okay, where does this rape come from? What is the thought process? Because if I'm taking something from you, I must feel that there's something that is missing from me, or you have something that, that I need or that I must possess at this time. And I want to, as in going to, or in talking about what we can do as a community or society, as a school to end this process, we have to go into why do we accept, or like what is the origin of it? Why do we think the way we do? And who's controlling it? When I think of, has it always been where a woman is looked as less than a man? Has it always been from the beginning? Now, for those people who may adhere to one of the monotheistic belief systems or whatever you do, if you see in Christianity, you learn that she comes from a rib, and you don't bend it too far because she can break, and and later on in the New Testament, woman doesn't have any word in the church. You know what I mean? She's not able to stand in the pulpit and do certain things. So if we adhere to certain cultures or certain belief systems, and I'm being objective now, I'm not judging anybody's belief, I'm just saying we have to be able to talk about and dialogue about it without being argumentative and just looking at the facts and seeing what we bring to the table. So if I'm seeing this as a youngster and I'm raised up around it, I see, I never see the women. I was raised Baptist, and growing up, you never really see women get in the pulpit. If they got Women's Day, they stand at the side. It's a hierarchy that's there, that's even unspoken, but you learn it from what you're seeing. Marriage and the institutionalization of this place that we call America, or where we are in the West right now. You have those who organized this, and it was men, what we call WASPs, or white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, that established this country. Now, yes, we could say, well, they came up with the Constitution, and they came up with, everything that we look at as ethics and morale, or that we began to look at when establishing this society, it was created by men. Women were subjugated, they were looked at as minorities. Of course, you had others, African Americans or Africans in slavery. You had a lot of things going on, but these are the same people that are communicating what should be ethical. And then when they were married, we didn't have a woman didn't have the ability to go to a police officer and say, hey, I'm being raped. You were a possession in marriage. You know what I mean? If you look up the terms wife and the origin of the term, it comes from a term called waif, which is not as positive as, we tend to think when we think husband and wife. Husband just means somebody that owns a home. And a waif is somebody that just stays with him. Don't believe me, look it up. But what I'm saying is, when we accept when we look at the big picture of who is defining what rape is, who is defining what I should be as a man, and how many muscles I should have, and how heavy I should talk if my partner questions me, or a female questions me, I'm going to raise my voice and tell her what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. These things our youth are also seeing, and they're mimicking it, because they see more men that are in control of not only religion but education. You know what I mean? We have wonderful and brilliant females in every arena who's having to fight to be heard. And then you have men that if they fight too strong, you have men that's calling them feminists, as if though they shouldn't fight for equality. And then if we talk about it too hard, you have these same men that's defining, if we talk about community issues, you're communist now. If you too much talk about society and its effects on you, you're socialist. You know what I mean? So we have all of these things that affects our communities, and how this comes into play for what we're talking about is that the body, what we do, is dependent upon how we think about things. A person's acts how they think. And once we accept it in music. Now, this is one thing that, not just in music, but in our ordinary lives. We can come in this room and we can be on campus and we can say, man, that's wrong. We're not supposed to get raped. Why are they just taking things from me? Why are they doing this? But then there are those of us who will leave here and then we want to be sexy, right? Male and female. Who came up with that term? Because what is sexiness? Because if you're sexy, does that mean that when I see you, it's possible that I may want to have sex with you? You know what I mean? Or you see me, the sexiest woman alive is this person. The sexiest man alive is this person. Does that mean, I'll have sex with them? I want a part of them physically, because look at them, the pecs, strong, posture. This is what we are accepting when we walk out the door. We're complaining when it's extreme. When it reaches its extreme, then we say, hey, this is a problem. And every 2 minutes, a woman is being raped. I've been talking to y'all maybe about 8-9 minutes now. There's been 4 rapes that has taken place since we've been talking. And this is a society that we say that, this is the greatest place in the world. You know what I mean? We're in other countries trying to aid them in what we're supposed to do better. No judgment, but how much do we look at ourselves and what we've been conditioned to accept? And then we patch up at the end. We're trying to patch up at the end like this has to stop. But do we look at the origin of why these things are taking place? So as a community and a society, I think that also the thought process, like the video at the beginning. The video at the beginning was extreme, but it was real. It's like you almost don't have to don't exist. Don't go anywhere or do anything because you might get raped. You know, and men, not all, but in the big picture, there's a consistent perpetuation of hypermasculinity and authority that I have because I'm a man. But men established it. You know, and women have to say, hold up, now I'm not going to dance and shuck and jive for you. I'm not going to give you this, continue to push this false sense of security and protection when you disrespect me, you call me out my name, I birthed you, but after you grow up enough to speak, then you curse me and you objectify me. That's ridiculous. But this is what we continue to do. And so it's in the community, we have to not educate ourselves, but also live it. Live it and be an example for our youth. Because it has to be habitual. It can't be if they get to have this conversation if they get in college at a prestigious university like Albany State and say, hey, well, I went to this gender issues, or I went to this conference. They have to be able to see it in every walk of life. They can't see us watching Scandal where a woman is a mistress of the president and we rush in to see it like, oh, that's a great show, but nobody's complaining about it. We can't see it, we can't see it in the same videos and the same music. The music is a part of the music, not all of it, but a part of the music culture that's affecting us. Is totally disrespectful. Women are paid by major corporations who's owned by who? Men, to dance, to be objects, and they do it all for money and a position at the time. You have artists that singing like, I do things for the applause. What's her name? Applause. Lady Gaga. I'm doing it for applause. The name of the albums are fame, and this is what I'm whatever you want me to be for the moment. And at the same time, our children, we said, okay, well, as long as they have the clean version, we'll play it for our kids. But what's happening psychologically to us is that they're learning to think like that. And then parents, those of us who are parents, how much time we spend with our kids? If we have to work, we have the consistent jobs and we have things we have to do, the majority of the time are spent with, with teachers and with other students and things of that nature. So, as an Albany State community, because this is a community, this is a society that we have. It is my sociological thought that it starts with the adults or the adults and the educators that are here first, having a consistent interaction with each other and respect for one another with how we're going to handle, making sure that we're not sexist or we're accepting any form of sexism, racism, anything that would lead to rapist thoughts or lead to having to possess someone else. But there are times when we don't. There's times when, we have dropped the ball. And then in a community, we're responsible for the youth. It takes a village to raise a child. So we can't say, hey, children, y'all just need to learn more and just read more and stop letting that happen. Stop letting it, that's the devil that does that. You know what I mean? Okay, well, if I know that, then I need to know how to show you not to do it. I can't be doing it with, with my colleagues and peers. So ultimately, it's education, an education where you're challenging the box. You're critically thinking about every action that you have, why you do it. It may seem like it's tedious. Like, do I walk around and ask and talk about everything that I do? Like, why am I doing this? Yes. Why do you wear your cleavage out? You know what I mean? And then, but say, hey, I just do it for me. Really? Would that, if you never seen that before, would that be something that you would like to do? Because cleavage being out, I can understand if you're breastfeeding, right? Breastfeeding originally, but what happens in subliminal suggestion is that when you grow up, you call the male baby, right? You call him baby. And then you want to show your breasts or that attraction, the same thing from infancy, what you did. Now he's an adult, and now he's drawn to wanting to do that. Heels coming because it's a sense of power. So much subjugation, so much negativity. It's like, man, I can stand up to you. But this way I can walk standing up to you because I can purchase something that'll help me get up there because my calves might hurt a little bit, right? Men, have to put so much with America, so much with what we're taught and groomed, protection and provision to be patriotic. That's to fight for whatever I want and take whatever I want. Sociologically, we question if that's the nature of human beings. To have to just take survival doesn't mean greed. Survival of the fittest doesn't mean taking from others, especially your mother, especially the one you have to work with to build a harmonious society and environment. So, with that being said, it is ideal, and it's with the best efforts that we can, it is imperative that we move forward in a positive manner, learning, opening our minds to this, dealing with these issues more than just here, taking it out of here and living it, living where we will not tolerate it again. March against any form of negative, any form of sexism, any form of adversity to human growth and upliftment. Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. Before we go into our question and answer session, I just wanted to leave a little bit with y'all that basically the rape culture, as Leroy was saying, is perpetuated through all our social institutions. So through school, through our media, through our religion, all the images that we see on TV, they pretty much kind of show the same uniform thought. Like, it's not hard to make a commercial nowadays. Women half naked, man not, product. You might know what's being sold, you might not. But sex is involved. You know that the woman is naked, that's pretty much all you need to know. So being aware, as Leroy was saying, being aware of these things and actually critically thinking about it, just saying, stop, hold on, maybe this is perpetuating more than what I think. It's not just a commercial. It's not just a passage in a book. It's not, just, worship literature. It's more. There's more thought behind that. And then just also feeding into this rape culture of trying to police what women should do and what women should not do, what women should wear, how much she should show. All that is just justifications, although ill, justifications on why rape would occur when really it's just don't rape. And I'm not too sure if y'all got the pamphlets that kind of looks like this.
Yeah, we were passing them out.
And basically it was just 10 tips to end rape. There was 10 ways, pretty much on how not to be raped. But really we need to be telling people this, like number 1, don't put drugs in women's drinks. When you see a woman walking by herself, leave her alone. If you pull over to help a woman whose car has broken down, remember not to rape her. If you are in a lift and a woman gets in, don't rape her. Never creep into a woman's home through an unlocked door or window or spring out at her from between parked cars, or rape her. Use the buddy system. If you're not able to stop yourself from insulting people, ask a friend to stay with you while you're in public. Number 7, don't forget, it's not sex with someone who's asleep or unconscious, it's rape. Carry a whistle. If you're worried you might assault someone by accident, you can hand it to the person you're with so they can call for help. Don't forget, honesty is the best policy. If you have every intention of having sex later on with the woman you're dating, regardless of how she feels about it, tell her directly that there is every chance you will rape her. If you don't communicate your intentions, she may take it as a sign that you do not plan to rape her and inadvertently feel safe. And the last one is pretty much don't rape. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not just a woman's issue, as I said before. It's an everyone issue. It's a human issue. It's a man's issue. And by having men step up against other men saying, hey, that's not cool, we need more of that, because really, it's really not a woman issue. It's our issue because we're being affected by it, but it's a man's issue. It's the fact that we have to question, why do they feel like it's okay for them to rape women? Why do they feel like it's okay to assert their dominance in a way that strips away someone else's? So by having men stick together and showing, hey, you know, it's not cool. You're not going to rape this lady right next to me. I don't even know her name, but you're just not going to do it, and it's not cool. And by stripping away these titles, you know, when men do such a things, you know, oh, you're gay, you're a wuss, you all that stuff like that, you're basically condemning them from standing up for another human being, and that's not right. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay.
I think more symposiums like this, as well as more campus involvement, more forums, more just in your face, because I notice, and maybe it's just my way of thinking, I notice like in order to get students involved in things like this, you can't have them come to you. You have to come to them. So going out in the community, going out and, hey, y'all, look, even if, you know, bribe you with a little food, that's fine. You know, come on down. We got food, but we're going to teach you not to rape. You know, just different. No, seriously, like, you know, we kind of have a gist of what ASU is like. And, you know, granted, ASU is not the marker of what society is, but it presents these points of pretty much a lot of people think the way ASU students do. ASU isn't excluded from, you know, society thinking and from socialization from these social institutions. So by coming to you, by meeting you at your level, forget you coming to where we are, we're going to meet you at your level. We're going to show you, like, by showing people, okay, you know, sexism and racism, two same thing. They're the same. Like, it's not a separate issue. It's not, you know, something, just two dichotomies that are fighting against each other. It's more of a, you know, we all want to end racism, right? Everyone's in agreement, right? We're pretty much good on that? Okay, so same thing, same zeal, same effort, same energy that we use, and the same platforms that we're using for, you know, ending racism, we need to use the same thing about sexism, about raping. Because, you know, 1 in 3 women have been raped, not will be raped, but have been raped. Meaning, you know, half of y'all in this room would fit the statistic that y'all have been raped. You know, like, and the fact that that happens, the fact that there is a whole separate set of, you know, the human population that is experiencing this is wrong. So by coming to the community, by saying, hey, y'all, look, these are things that you don't need to do. You know, what is it that you need for us to do to come to y'all and to teach y'all this? You know, do we need to give you extra head to come here as long as that you're in this seat so that we can tell you this? Because as long as you're here, you're going to get it. So that's basically my answer.
I just have a question to the audience as far as her questions is concerned. Just by a show of hands, or if you want to stand, as far as the students, how many of you all would be here if it wasn't for the extra credit or your teacher canceling class and telling you all to come out? How many of you all would be here for this? That's 2 people. That's 2 people in this whole room that would be here in support of this issue. But like it was stated earlier, it could be your sister, it could be your mother, it could be your aunt, it could be your future children that this could be happening to. But if we don't stand up and fight for the cause now, then the change might not happen in the future. You could walk out this door right now, go to the grocery store, get snatched up and get raped. But, you know, if no one's speaking out of it, if we're not taking this opportunity to reach out to our peers that are not here, then there's nothing that's going to be done about it.
And just pretty much, you know, like you were saying, what can we do? Okay, well, you're here, right? You've heard this information. You feel a strong way. You go tell your 5 friends, your 6 friends, your 7 friends, and then make sure and implore them and encourage them. Go tell their friends, you know, and your friends. And it's like that word of mouth system, you know, hey, I learned this, and granted, everyone's not here, but I learned it. You're here. You're here. You can take this and you can share this with your peers, because that's really what you're doing. That's really what any movement is going to do. I got the knowledge. I'm awoke. Now I'm trying to wake you up. and then you're going to wake other people up, and it's going to be a chain reaction. And by eliminating this false consciousness and eliminating this ideology of, well, that's just how it is, or I don't think we can do it, or we're going to give up because, you know, when the going gets tough, we give up. You know, by eliminating that and taking out that doubt and just going for it, that's really what's going to help this movement start. That's really what's going to help open the eyes of the campus and other campuses, hopefully showing that, you know, this is an issue that needs to be solved now. So,
was there another?
I mean, okay, honestly, I feel like, granted, yes, you do have that subset of people who do go through mental issues. There can be that, you know, mental health in men is severely underreported. So, you know, I feel like that might be an issue too, you know, something that we need to look into, that not a lot of research has spent a lot of time to develop and to understand, because a lot of men are taught through their socialization that a part of being a man is not to report when you need help. It's not to report that you're having some things mentally that's going on that you can't figure out by yourself. But honestly, I mean, you know, I could be wrong. I feel like, in my opinion, that the way males are socialized, it kind of creates this and it perpetualizes it. Because if you're telling a little boy, I mean, I know some of y'all have brothers and cousins that are males, you know, male family members. You know, how many times when a little boy falls down, you telling him to man up? You see what I'm saying? Or how many times where, you know, as a, you know, a father, you hear, you know, a father figure telling the boy, oh yeah, you know, my son, he can do whatever. If I catch my son in the bed with a girl, I'm going to applaud him. That's right, man. Whoop-de-woo. But if it was a girl, it would be something totally different. It's, no, I'm about to shoot him. I got my shotgun ready. You know, she can't be a fast-tail girl. And by labeling these women and by socializing these men to believe that, you know, fast-tail girls deserve it, where other girls don't, but they still deserve it anyway because they female. And I think it's like through the socialization, I feel like, yeah, there's mental issues and things like that that can possibly perpetuate it, but I do feel that really it's our socialization. It's what Leroy's father is telling him, or his male, you know, positive male figures are telling him. It's what the media is telling you. It's what the, you know, magazines and television is, what you're teaching in school, you know, how you know, even the beliefs of your professors and how they interact with the students of different genders. I feel like it's all through that socialization is kind of perpetuating this rape culture, saying it's okay because in order to be a man, you're supposed to dominate. Like, and whether that's dominate in the sports and other arenas or even just other people. So, yeah.
So with that said, do you think that the focus of masculinity is too narrow? And does that, the narrow focus have anything to do with rape culture?
In my opinion to that, as it relates to the topic, I think we focus so much on the women that are getting raped and why they're getting raped, and not focusing on the issue of the men actually doing the raping. We don't have people going out, hey, well, we have all these rapists on record. Ask them, see why they did it. It's already out there. We already know they're rapists. Why did you do it? What was going on in your mind at that time that made you go after this young woman? Why you knew her, you probably grew up with her, you probably just met her, or you didn't know her at all, but what forced you or what drove you to go to that point and actually changing their mindset? We have women that get raped that come out and speak out on the issue to help other women, you know, see the signs, but why can't we have the rapists come out and let other men know, well, hey, if you ever feel this way, you know, you might go in this direction, so just be out on the lookout. And they can speak out to the men speaking out for the men, women speak out for the women, we all just speak out for each other.
Okay. Leroy.
And I think another perspective or another way to look at that is what happens when, as a youth, if we're spoiling somebody, you know, we use the term spoiling. If we're spoiling a child and then 3 years later, the same thing we've been spoiling them with, we tell them no, they can't do it or they can't have it. They end up throwing a tantrum, doing it anyway when you're not around, you know, just because of being used to one thing, they end up taking it. As men, it's kind of like been a unspoken inheritance that since you're a male, as a sex, since you're just a male, and I think masculinity is definitely socialized, and it's a more of a gender issue. But just as a male, I'm conditioned or told that I don't have to provide, I can be a drug dealer. I can sit around and play video games all day. I can be totally unproductive, but I'm still greater than you as a female. That's what I'm conditioned to see. So you become, my property, less than I am, do what I ask. That's your duty, is to please me. If it's cooking, if it's seeing about the children, plus working, plus coming home, then seeing about me, that's what you're supposed to do. That's the conditioning process. So now what happens when you tell me no? I'm going back to as far as the child. What happens at that point when I'm used to that, and that's been perpetuated for years, hundreds of years, and then you tell me, like, no, I'm not going to do this. You're not going to just sit down and do nothing. It's going to be some reciprocity. It's going to, we're going to have to look at each other as equals. I don't agree that I'm beneath you. I don't agree that I have to go through you with everything. I can do just as what you can do. Then because I haven't had to deal with, now with that child, we have to teach them to deal with, hey, I got to tell you no sometimes. You got to earn what you get. You know what I mean? That's what we tell, we got to do this. But it's my opinion that it's going to take women to say, no, you have to earn this respect. As a total consensus, you got to earn this. Not because you have a lot of money, because you're an athlete and there's millions, as long as he don't let me see it. You know what I mean? And then we're developing a culture where we're accepting men's lack of responsibility and care for their families. I mean, I'm not saying every man. There are men that care and they don't think about the gender. They don't accept or move along with the gender role issues and things of that nature. But I think it's an immaturity, but men don't have to deal with it because it's like it's framed that way. I don't have to deal with it, so what, a woman tell me no? And then there's some that don't know how to handle that, so they take. And they take when nobody's looking, and then the movies perpetuate it.
I think we're about out of time.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I do have one quick question, though. How does being an African-American male, or let me ask you this, is male privilege different for African-American men than it is for white men? And how does that play into this hegemonic masculinity?
Is male privilege
different? We know that men have privilege in our society just because they're men, that unearned advantage. Is it different for white men? Do they experience that privilege differently than African-American men?
In my opinion, absolutely.
Okay.
Reason because they would be the white male, not all white men.
Right.
Sure I make that clear. But the predominant group, or what's considered the elite, is white males, right? So their privilege not only comes from just being a man, but they also have the authority to shape the minds and cultures and their ideologies, permeate the most. They control the media. They control every aspect of, things that they allow on television. They allow, the pornography industry, and they'll say, okay, well, that's a First Amendment right to be free. Freedom. But then if you're freedom to, if I'm free to do things or say things or promote things that could be adverse to the solutions that we're discussing, then that's just a part of it. You know what I mean? That's just freedoms. So, but with the African-American male, it's almost like if I don't, I'm left to, even if I don't have the resources, if there's no equality for me insofar as being able to be the elite or it being a balance there as far as stratification is concerned, then all I'm left with is, I'm just a man though. I may not have the money or the resources, or I don't control anything, but I'm a man. So the minority he's just struggling and say, okay, but this is one thing that that I can hold on to. That white male has much more that he can not just hold on to, but that he controls.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank y'all. Yay. Okay.